Okay guys, after many hours of thought on how to deal with this unique piece, I told you earlier I was gonna cut it and overlay it on a piece of wood, and I lied. I've gone round and round on how to deal with these rails. They're got a lot of curve to them, and my material is only 5 inches thick, as you can see over here. So how to make that turn into that. And I've decided to go with the way that this was originally built, which you can see is glued up lamination. See how there's a board there, there's a board there, there's a board there. You can see the lines of lamination. So I'm going to laminate this material, and I'll use epoxy to glue it together, to hold it together. I'll make sure that I underset the epoxy so that it has a slow setup time, thereby allowing high absorption into the wood. So if I don't do that, if I set it up really fast, the teak has a lot of oil in it. It takes a while for the epoxy to absorb into it, and the bond won't be as strong. But if I'll set it up if I'll set it up so that it bonds slower, so not quite, give it a longer pot life. First of all, I need to work with it when I'm laying it up on this wood. Second of all, it'll absorb into the teak better, and it'll give me a more consistent bond all the way through. Now, the pros and cons to this decision are, the pros are, I think it will look better overall, and it'll be easier, I think, for me to make. It's a little tricky on the bending, but I don't know, it's easier overall for me to make because I'll have, or it's better overall because I'll have less end grain. If I cut the wood and stagger it like I talked to you about before, I end up with a lot of end grain, and that end grain has a tendency to want to chip and break, and that could pose long-term problems. And since I was going to have a seam through the center of my piece anyway, I thought, well, I might as well have seams all the way through. This way I have less end grain. I'll only have end grain truly on the ends. That's one positive. I think it'll be easier to work with overall as a piece. So the negatives are obviously the time to manufacture a template to build or to bend this rail. You know, I have to actually weld. I have to weld on my table and create a template. You'll see here in a while. I'm going to start working on that. The other negatives are I'm going to have little lines, small. The better I do it, the smaller the lines will be. But I will have small little lines like this does, right here. And those lines, if I don't keep this teak oiled, those lines will be issues for UV. So it's important that if you do this, that if you're going to oil your teak and you're not going to urethane it or whatever, varnish it, that you keep up on the varnish. Like you can see this old varnish is all wore out. That's UV damage. That UV, once it gets into the varnish between the cracks, it'll start to work its way down. It's going to happen really slowly, but just keep a good coat of varnish on it. If you're going to do oil, I'm going back with oil. So it just means I'm going to have to make sure that I keep my oil up to date. Otherwise, this material could get some UV damage and then start damaging my glue joints. So I'll have to be aware of that, but that's the choice I'm making. I can always go back and varnish it later if I decide to. That's it for now. I hope this has been helpful. Hey guys, if you like my videos, if you'll like them, that'll help me get some rankings and all that stuff. I'd appreciate it. Doing all this for free. Take care. Have a good day.